Hello everyone, Nicholas there here with you another Ableton tutorial. Big shout out everyone who's liking, subscribing on the channel. Big shout out to everyone getting involved in Patreon. Patreon members will be able to download the effects tracks from today that I'm going to make, which leads me nicely into what we're going to make today. We're going to make effect tracks. We're going to look at a modular approach to making effect tracks, making presets, and then making kind of cool generative, very modular style patches that you can control some chaos, but react to that chaos. So let's get started. I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to delete this. And I have a sample of a celesta here playing. I also have a sample here of me hitting something. And these two samples we're going to use as a way of sort of checking sounds as we go and building this kind of modular effects track. So let's begin with the celesta, and let's just begin by dragging in some effects. So the first thing that's going to be fun to play with is going to be some kind of pitchy type stuff, but I'm not going to use the shifter for that. I'm actually going to use the chorus. That sounds like a chorus, but if we switch to the vibrato mode here, and here it sounds a little bit like an old vinyl record player. We can go right up with the amount and the rate on that. So that's going to be a cool thing to play around with. A sort of second half of that, I think maybe some kind of ring modulation. So that is, I'm going to use the shifter and switch this to ring mod. That does some cool stuff. EQ is going to be really nice in this context. And I'm just going to set it up so we have quite a sharp low pass and high pass. Low pass and high pass situation like that. Some kind of blurring reverb. No, spectral blur. Let's use the spectral blur. Spectral blur, I really need to spend some more time with this. What a beautiful plugin. As you can hear, it gives these sort of ethereal textures. Let's just check for some unity gain. We maybe need a bit more gain on the wet there. Yeah, that's lovely. Perhaps, oh yeah, some vinyl distortion, a bit of crackle is going to be nice. Let's put that at the start of the whole thing. Let's connect the crackle with the incoming signal. So let's add an envelope follower here. I'm going to set this to remote control. Envelope follower has been a bit of a star of my videos of late, with due good reason. Cool, so we can now control the amount of crackle and stuff with the input gain here. Lovely. Let's turn you off. And let's add some glitchy beat repeaty stuff at the end. That's going to be fun. Where have you gone? Beat repeat. I want to already make this do some more random stuff, so let's use just the LFO to do that. LFO. Let's switch the beat repeat to being insert, so when it's glitching out, we don't get any input signal. Let's add a bit of variation in the timing. Let's make this a random, and let's make you change once every half a bar, once every 2 beats, because I want you to control the gate, the length of time that is going to glitch for. So you can see this bar switching around, how long it's glitching out for each time is changing now. Let's make another one of you, and let's connect that with the offset. So now the length of glitch and where that glitch is occurring is moving around lovely. And let's duplicate that whole section, so we have double chance of some, fun. And let's put one of them, let's give it quite a sharp filter, so that we're getting quite a lot of. That's cool. Okay, let's turn all of that off for now. Do we have enough stuff to start adding things to? I think we do. We have a whole bunch of cool random plugins. Not random plugins, carefully chosen plugins. We have a cool bunch of cool, carefully chosen Oh, no, I'm going to add one more. Some Bit Crush stuff. Yeah. That's a Bit Crush. Let's put you at the start of this whole thing in here. Yeah. And so this is, we get this sort of classic 8-bit type sound, of course. Okay. Now, let's connect all of these into an effect track. So select everything, Command G, and that's now turned that into an effect track. Our very own custom-made plugin, if you will. Now, I'm going to connect a bunch of these parameters to the macros here so that I can easily access them and so that I can make presets. So I want as many macros as possible because why not? And we're just going to connect some of these things. So if I connect now, map this. So let's call this vinyl crackle. And now I have a macro that I can use to turn the vinyl crackle on and off. Oh, there's another nice thing on here. Yeah, perhaps this little input drive. Yeah, I'm going to connect that with another macro. So let's call this input drive. It gets quite intense, this input drive. So like maybe we only want it going up sort of like that much. Yeah, that's nice. Maximum. Okay. Right, let's turn on the chorus. And so the things that we were looking at here were the rate and the amount. So I'm going to connect that to here. So let's call that pitch shift rate. And let's call that pitch shift amount. Lovely. What's next? Oh yeah, the bit crusher. So let's connect that with here. And let's connect that with here. And I kind of want this to be off. And no, I want this to be, 0 bit crushing and this to be max. So I'm going to reverse bit crush sample rate. I'm going to reverse this. So I want this to be maximum, this to be minimum. So now off and maximum. Yeah, that's cool. And I think I want to do the same thing with the bit depth. So again, I'm going to reverse them. Off, maximum, and the maximum bit depth just sort of does really, somewhere around there. Okay, so let's keep everything off, keep everything off, keep everything off. Yeah. Okay, the ring modulator. Let's obviously some kind of ring modulation coarse and the dry and the wet. Ring mod dry wet. Lovely. Okay, for now let's have everything down. And of course the ring modulator, when we have like a really low it functions like a tremolo, which is really nice as well. But let's turn that off for now. So that gives us kind of like a dual 2-for-1 situation happening there. On the EQ, we're just going to do, of course, low pass and high pass. So low pass there. That's going up way too high. So let's bring you down. Like that's about as high as I would ever want that high pass to go. Let's rename that high pass. Right, low pass. Low pass, lovely. And again, we don't want it going that. That's just silly. That's just silly. Cool. Okay, so let's open that right up again. So default settings. Right, let's turn this kind of spectral. I think we just want the dry wet on this, don't we? Let's rename that blur dry wet. Right. And then I think the beat repeat, we're just going to want to map the chants. And let's put the same chants on both of them. Yeah, so let's call that glitch chants. And I want to keep 3 macros free. That'll become clear in a minute, but let's just add one more in this macro. I'll tell you what, we're going to make that pitch decay, because why not? So now whenever we get some glitching happening, of course it's not doing it now. Oh, it's because they're turned off. Turning back on. Cool. Okay, so we've mapped a bunch of stuff. We've kept 3 macros free for later. How do we make presets? Well, presets, I think macro variations is what Ableton calls them. So I hit the variations guy here, and I just hit new. And I call that clean. So now if I was to just randomly move any of these around, I can instantly return to my preset. Like that. Super easy. So if I was to want to sort of maybe do something a bit like this. And now it's sounding very much like a really old 78 record. So I would go new and call it 78 record. We can hit this random button here, and this generates a bunch of random values for us as presets. Springs in a cave. And then maybe let's go back to the clean. Let's see what it sounds like with some rhythmic stuff. Let's hit some. Now what I'm experiencing is that no, this is cool. 8-bit rhythm. This is kind of cool. So that's how we make a sort of modular effect track and add some presets to it. But I want to take this a step further. I want to make this a more controlled chaos sort of a situation. So let's go back to the Celesta. Let's go back here, and we're going to make this controlled chaos. So in order to do that, I'm going to connect a bunch of LFOs with these and then be able to just control elements of the LFOs themselves. So LFO, you notice I put that outside of this effect track because I'm going to want to put this actually inside a whole new secondary effect track. Racks in racks is what we're heading for here. So I'm just going to change something on here. Going to change this to random. For now, I'm going to connect this and make this a new value every quarter note. And I'm going to leave this on modulate as opposed to, if I hit it, we get sort of a remote control. But I want this to be on modulate. And the reason for that is if I now map this to the vinyl crackle and I put this in the middle, you see that the plus and minus on here is going either 50% up or 50% down. If I bring this vinyl crackle sort of round back to sort of 9 o'clock, you can see that the underside is never, it's moving 50% around the crackle is what I'm trying to say, as opposed to just straight up controlling it. So this allows me a bit more control down the track on where some of these parameters are sitting. And I can control the depth of that either with this 50% here or with the depth button here. And both of those are going to come in handy, actually. So I'm going to now label that vinyl crackle. And I'm going to repeat that exact process. And for now, I'm going to leave that in the middle. And I'm going to repeat that exact process for the rest of these macros here. Okay, so now we can hear that all of these LFOs are flip-flopping once every quarter note and completely changing these parameters sort of around their center point. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to save that has a new variation. Let's call that center point. So now I think if I click on this, yes, it moves all the parameters back. So now we're having modulation based on our original presets. So I can go back to... So now I'm going to make this chaotic modulation more controllable. So let's rename this and let's call that mod rack inner. And I'm going to put all of this into its own effect track. And again, I want to make some macros, and now it will become clear why I wanted to keep these 3 macros free, because I'm going to map each of... we can minimize that. We don't need that right now. So the first of these 3 macros I'm going to use to control the rate and the gridness or not gridness of our chaos. And I'm going to do this for each of the individual LFOs so that I can sort of control the global chaos, if you will. So I'm going to hit map. And the first one I'm going to do is the time mode. So now you can see when I move this, we're changing the time mode. I'm going to connect the rate here. So this is grid rate. And then when I change the time mode, you'll see that that does not change this rate. So let's call this free rate. So I'm going to go through, and now I want to connect this depth to here, to macro 4, and I'm going to call that vinyl depth. And again, I'm going to do that process for each one of these LFOs. Okay, so I now have a situation where I have all of these LFOs mapped to these macros. These macros are mapped to the LFOs, so I can control the depth of each of this amount of chaos. So if I was to turn all of these down to 0, we now have 0 chaos occurring. Oh, yeah, exactly. So now if I open up these macros, we now have 0 chaos occurring on these macros, and we have effectively the clean preset. But if I sort of just turn these up a bit, we can now see some chaos beginning to occur on this preset. So this is a way of being able to say, yeah, I want a certain amount of chaos, but I want it to be based around a certain preset. We can then adjust the preset. So we go to our old 78 record preset. And here we have a certain amount of chaos built around that preset. But if I bring all of these back down again, does that work if I double click? No, it goes all the other way. Blah, 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 blah. We're back to just the 78 record preset. So I think you can see where I'm heading with this. I can add some macros here as well, some macro variations here. So let's call this 0 chaos. And then if I was to turn all of these up, and now we're at maximum chaos. And of course we can adjust the amount of the chaosing. So let's say we want chaos but with 0 blur and with 0 pitch shifting. So we're now we're not doing anything with the pitch shifting, we're not doing anything with the kind of reverby blurry thing, but we have just kind of time-based chaos. So let's call that. And the reason I wanted to keep these these three macros free was so that we can now control globally the change in the chaos. So now you can hear how the chaos is linked to the grid. Maybe we can hear that better if we switch to this. Let's go for maximum chaos. This is chaotic. Let's just go back here. So this is a way of creating chaos, but then also being able to control that chaos in some kind of interesting and musical ways, connected with the grid, or just going completely off the deep end. You're adults. You don't need me to look after you. You can figure out what you're doing yourselves. Let's go 0 chaos and clean in 2 presses of a button. So yeah, so that was what I wanted to look at today. Let's go back to this. And time-based chaos, yeah. So that's where I wanted to get to today. A modular approach to Ableton's racks, making presets and then having some cool generative shit happening on the back of those presets. As mentioned, Patreon members will be able to download today's project, including the rack I started with, maybe this one as well. Sure, why not? Thanks for being here. Look forward to hearing you explore things. Nice one.